Hello, hello, fellow esoteric pirates, and welcome to Coma Pirate Radio. Today I'm going to be doing story time with me, and we're going to be talking about an old story that was told by the dervishes and by Disney. It's The Wayward Princess. This is the classic story where the king has daughters, and one of them is the bad daughter, the one that doesn't do what he wants, that doesn't take his offers of money and, be a good girl or else. And she says, fuck it, I'm not yours, I'm my own human. And he locks her up in a tower. Now, there's so much symbolism to this idea, and I do tease my daughter whenever she's bad about locking her up in a tower. Now, just the thought of doing this can awaken a psychological response of, oh my God, I would never. It's that shock, right? So when you hear this story and you hear the father king locking his daughter, one of the princesses, in a tower, you receive a shock to your psyche. And it's interesting, too, that in this story, it's the townspeople and the reputation and the whispering around, everybody talking about it, like, oh my God, like, can you believe what the king did? That poor princess, she is locked up in that tower. This is what actually even pushes the king to go to the daughter and say, hey, I can kill you, or I don't know what I'm going to do with you. So what he ends up doing is he sends her off he exiles her, right? Essentially. But let's back up and talk about the symbolism of the tower. Now, in the tarot, it's the number 16, associated with 6, which is spiritual comfort. It is beauty. It has been very much changed in our brains with the A.E. Waite tarot of this like Tower of Babylon, which is also an old story that has been twisted. If you really look into it, it wasn't about destruction and the falling of, it was a birth. It was a transformation of the old into the new. This tower really repeats itself in many stories. The tower has the deep-rooted ideas in the psyche of, if you listen to it with healed intuition, we see that the tower is an opening. It's an emergence of what is imprisoned. It's like we have to shift our consciousness to the idea that the tower is not a prison, but an incubation. It's a womb. It is the catalyst to shock our systems and change our electrical wirings. Like shock therapy. Ooh, that's always given me some funny feelings in my body. Any kind of shock therapy in a horror movie, I'm just, squealing. But near-death experience are also like this esoteric shock therapy. It's like something that happens to you that shocks your system so much that your electrical workings in your brain kind of get jumbled, right? They're able to shift. The tower is a tower up into the heavens, right? In this story, anyway, he doesn't bury her into the ground. He puts her in a tower. Think about the view from the tower as well. It's a tower with windows. You can see far distances. It's important to remember. And you know, in the Disney story with Rapunzel, Entangled, she has a great time in the tower. I mean, she's reading, she's writing, she's brushing her hair, she's studying. It is the perfect incubation for a princess. Now, one thing also to think about is that the tower seems to be the prison because it doesn't have a door. There's no exit for this incubational period. Because if there was, the princess would have left before its time, right? This idea of giving birth, it takes a certain amount of time to mature for the fetus to be able to experience the world. If there was a door and it wasn't a prison, then esoterically, theoretically, this princess would not have the time to sufficiently mature. You can't get out of that mess, right? It's not easy to get out of the mess. Now, once she is able to leave, once the king comes and's like, I can't do this anymore. This is ridiculous. Everybody's talking about me. I need to do something with you, and sends her into the forest. In this story, anyway, she moves through the green door. And I thought very much about how she is moving from the arms of the high priestess, right? The tower, the solitude, the study, the coldness, into the arms of the empress, the woods. Now, this is where she finds her cave. In this story, in the dervish story, she finds a cave to live in, and she starts growing her own foods, and she, becomes friends with all the animals. In all of her dreams, she never even imagined that life could be this amazing. And none of her good sisters are able to experience that. The good daughters that did what they were told, they're not the ones out there living a life of amazing freedom. Going back to thinking about this tower, the blessed tower. Not thinking about it as a dungeon, but thinking about it as the alchemist's oven, the heat, the pressure, so that the princess can become the diamond. The princess needs to become the diamond before entering the empress. If she went mad and she was exiled into the woods, she would have died. She would have just ran around like a mad woman and not known how to do anything, right? To receive, to be able to see. Because she enters the woods in her purest, most receptive, compassionate form, she's able to, through intuition and through synchronicity, create an amazing life for herself. In this story, she even finds her love, the love of her life. The prince comes. We can feel the princess's patience in this story when she's set free. We can feel the emergence of the tower, the 16, into the lovers, the 6 of the tarot. We can see the beauty in the mirrors of the Empress and the High Priestess. They appear very, very different, and they are very, very different, but they are also two sides to the same mirror. We can also transform this tower into a lighthouse. We can see the maiden looking for the sacred masculine to return from sea. The pirates. Where is my pirate? You know, it's esoterically the receptive, static, holding energy, calling in the kinetic, pushing, electrical energy. It is the sacred masculine returning to the sacred feminine, being called into. And of course this tower is masculine. Everybody knows that. Of course it is a phallic symbol. The tower symbolizes the forceful explosion, the ejaculation for creation. It's a bursting of energy, a buildup, and then the burst. And then the tower becomes the channel, right? The channel that the divine can speak through. It becomes clear. The princess can then be born so that she can experience the bliss of living with the Empress. She can find her destiny. Now in this story, unlike the Tangled story, in this ancient story, when the princess's lover comes to find her, they build a beautiful community in the woods. A huge, prosperous city, it is said, where their wisdom and their resources and their faith are expressed to the fullest. And they create a place for eccentrics and outcasts and people that are even thought to be madmen. It is said in this story that this princess and her lover become the king and queen of this place for the wild people. The people of the woods. I mean, come on. It's very much like the Robin Hood story too, right? Like, we're the outcasts. Where are we going to go? Where can we harmonize? We create this new place for outcasts and pirates and people that don't really fit into societal norms, that are on many different spectrums of the rainbow. And this princess that was able to survive the incubation, imprisonment of the tower is able to create a space for them. Now, her sisters couldn't do that. Somebody that is a part of society cannot make space for humans that don't get along with society, right? Like, that wouldn't make sense. This princess had to have gone through the torment and torment. It never said she was tortured in this story, nor in the Disney story. She is taken care of in the tower. That's one thing to note about this story. And in the end of this story, it is said that the city that this princess, now the king and queen of the wild humans, it grows and grows until it swallows up the realm of her father. Of course it does. It's so much. There's so much more power. And at the end of this story, the father king actually bows to his daughter, who is now the queen. And she tells him, and he learns, that every human, man and woman, has their very own fate. their very own destiny. They make their own choices. They don't have to do exactly what the Father tells them to do. The Father is then able to release that idea of needing to control, right? This story was so important in the psyche of humans from the beginning of time because the father figure wants to, he just wants it to go right. He's doing everything he can. He's so much into this action of protection. I need to protect you. He feels his daughter, and remember, she's bad. Like, I don't know if you're a parent and you have a bad kid, but you know what that feels like. And you're like, would you just listen to me? Would you please just listen to me and do what I'm telling you to do? I'm doing it because I love you. I'm telling you because I love you. I'm making you go study for your exams because you have to learn something. My daughter is about to turn 8. And she doesn't like study. She doesn't like school. She's like, I don't want to learn. I don't want to learn how to read. Now, she's very smart, but getting her to actually sit down and focus on her school it's like pulling teeth. She is just not about it. She won't be locked up in that tower. She wants to be free. She wants to dance, and she wants to run around. So we can feel this father. We don't have to think of this father, this king that locks his daughter up in a tower and be like, oh my God, how dare he do this, right? Like in the beginning of the story. Stories are for the journey and the transformation of the psyche. So we learn, so we shift from this shock, thinking about this evil king locking his daughter in a tower. And now we realize that he learns that his daughter, the bad daughter, was able to create a kingdom much greater than his. And he bows to her. You can study and look into your destiny by looking at your North Node in astrology. And looking at the stars. Look out of that tower into the stars. In my last story time, it was said that it is written in the sands. Here, I must have to say that it is reflected in the stars. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Please check out all of my other content. I've got all the links below. Like and subscribe and share. So, we can all help each other out and create a harmonious space for outcasts, aliens, eccentrics, LGBTQ, D, Z, W, X, Y, and Z. All of it. All of it. And whether you're traveling mentally or physically, may it be in love, light, and shadow. And don't forget the lube. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day.